1. We're diving into a classic American muscle car that's up for grabs on Craigslist, a 1967 Plymouth Barracuda. This beauty is priced at $2,500, and it's ready to find a new home. Now let's talk about the condition of this '67 Barracuda. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is promising. However, it's important to keep in mind that good can mean different things to different people. It's always best to see the car in person and give it a thorough inspection before making a decision. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 360 motor, paired with a 904 transmission. This Barracuda is a true rear-wheel drive machine, ready to deliver that classic muscle car experience. The 4-barrel Holley carburetor ensures that the engine is running smoothly and efficiently. One of the standout features of this Barracuda is the interior. The seller describes it as beautiful, which suggests that it's been well maintained or possibly even restored. A nice interior can make all the difference in enjoying your classic car. The exterior of this Barracuda is painted in a stunning blue color. While the seller doesn't provide many details about the paint, it's worth taking a closer look to assess its condition. A good paint job can really make a classic car stand out. It's also worth noting that this Barracuda comes with a clean title, which is always a plus when buying a used car. You can have peace of mind knowing that there are no hidden issues with the vehicle's history. Overall, this 1967 Plymouth Barracuda seems like a solid choice for anyone in the market for a classic muscle car. With its powerful engine, beautiful interior, and clean title, it's definitely worth considering. Just be sure to do your due diligence and thoroughly inspect the car before making a decision. The seller has priced this Barracuda to sell quickly, so if you're interested, you might want to act fast. These classic cars don't stay on the market for long. 2. We've got a real treat for you. A 1955 Oldsmobile 88 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This vintage beauty is priced at just $8,000 and it's ready to find a new home. Now let's dive into the details. The seller has owned this Oldsmobile for 8 years and has kept it garaged, which is a good sign. However, they admit that they don't drive it enough, and the storage costs have become a burden. It's a common problem for classic car owners, and it's understandable why they've decided to sell. The seller mentions that the car runs and drives well, but there are a few issues to be aware of. Sometimes it may stall when taking off from stoplights, unless you feather the gas pedal. This could be a sign of a carburetor or fuel delivery issue, but it's hard to say without a closer inspection. Additionally, one of the tail lights is burnt out, which is a minor fix. As with any classic car, there are some imperfections to note. The seller is upfront about the minor dings, scratches, and paint chips, which is to be expected in a 69-year-old vehicle. The headliner has some tears at the seams, and the passenger window is hard to roll down, with a crack in the glass. The dashboard has a patina look, which some enthusiasts may appreciate as a sign of the car's age and character. On the plus side, the seller claims that the body is as rust-free as they've seen in a survivor car, with no holes or body cancer. This is a huge selling point for any classic car, as rust can be a major problem and expensive to fix. Under the hood, you'll find an automatic 324 V8 engine, and nearly all the components are stock. The seller has also included extra rear traction wheels and tires, which are currently on the car. The seller is honest about their love for this car, but admits that the size and storage costs have become a burden. They had originally planned to keep the car until its 100th birthday in 2055, but the reality of the situation has forced them to reconsider. Overall, this 1955 Oldsmobile 88 seems like a solid choice for anyone looking for a classic car with a lot of character. While it may need some minor repairs and maintenance, the rust-free body and stock components make it an attractive option. Plus, at just $8,000, it's a lot of car for the money. The seller is hoping to sell the car before Halloween, as they've already paid for storage through then. So if you're interested, you might want to act fast. And as the seller says, act now, supplies are running out. 3. We've got a real gem for you. A 1985 Cadillac Fleetwood that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This luxurious sedan is priced at $8,750, and it's ready to find a new owner who will appreciate its history and craftsmanship. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Fleetwood. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign. However, it's important to keep in mind that good can mean different things to different people, especially when it comes to classic cars. It's always a good idea to see the car in person and give it a thorough inspection before making a decision. One of the most impressive aspects of this Fleetwood is its ownership history. The seller states that it has had only one owner, which is a rarity for a car that's nearly 40 years old. Single-owner cars are often well-maintained and cared for, as the owner has a personal attachment to the vehicle. The seller also mentions that this Fleetwood has no accidents on record, which is another huge plus. Accidents can cause hidden damage that may not be immediately apparent, so knowing that this car has a clean history is a great sign. Additionally, the seller notes that this Fleetwood has always been garaged. This is important for any classic car, as exposure to the elements can cause rust, fading, and other damage over time. A car that has been kept in a garage is more likely to be in better condition than one that has been parked outside. The odometer reading on this Fleetwood is 93,915 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. While it's not a guarantee of the car's condition, lower mileage is generally a good sign that the car hasn't been driven too hard or too often. Under the hood, you'll find a gas-powered engine, which is typical for a car of this era. The transmission is automatic, which is also common for a luxury sedan like the Fleetwood. Overall, this 1985 Cadillac Fleetwood seems like a solid choice for anyone in the market for a classic luxury car. With its single-owner history, no accidents, and garage-kept condition, it's clear that this car has been well cared for over the years. The low mileage and good condition rating are also promising signs. Of course, as with any used car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence and have the car inspected by a trusted mechanic before making a final decision. But if everything checks out, this Fleetwood could be a great addition to any classic car collection. 4. We've got an interesting find on Craigslist, a 1983 Oldsmobile 98 Regency. This two-door coupe is up for sale at $5,500 or best offer, and it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Oldsmobile. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is promising. However, it's important to note that the title status is listed as salvage. This means that the car has likely been in a significant accident or sustained major damage at some point in its history. While it may have been repaired, it's crucial to get a thorough inspection and understand the extent of the damage before making a purchase. On the plus side, this Oldsmobile 98 has a low reported mileage of just 42,000 miles. However, the seller does mention that the odometer has rolled over, so the actual mileage is likely higher. It's important to clarify this with the seller and get a better understanding of the car's true mileage. Under the hood, you'll find a 5.0L V8 engine with a 4-barrel carburetor, which is paired with an automatic transmission. This Oldsmobile is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, which is typical for cars of this era. The seller mentions that the car has a current smog certification and registration, with tags and plates valid until May 2025. This is a good sign, as it means the car is legal to drive on the road and has passed the necessary emissions tests. One of the standout features of this Oldsmobile is the brand new white wall tires. These classic-style tires give the car a real vintage look and are sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller describes the outside of the car as clean, which suggests that the body is in good shape. They also mention that the body is straight, which is another positive sign. However, the interior of the car is said to need some cosmetic work, so be prepared to put in some effort to get it looking its best. Overall, this 1983 Oldsmobile 98 Regency seems like a solid choice for anyone looking for a classic coupe with a lot of potential. While the salvage title and unknown true mileage are definitely concerns, the low reported mileage, clean exterior, and new white wall tires are all promising signs. As with any used car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence and have the car thoroughly inspected before making a decision. But if everything checks out, this Oldsmobile could be a great project car or a fun weekend cruiser. 5. We've got a real beauty for you, a 1985 Cadillac Eldorado convertible that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This luxurious drop top is priced at $9,000, and it's ready to find a new owner who appreciates the finer things in life. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Eldorado. The seller describes it as being in excellent condition, which is a bold claim for any classic car. If true, this is a real find, as cars of this age often have some wear and tear. However, it's always a good idea to see the car in person and give it a thorough inspection to verify its condition. The seller mentions that everything on this Eldorado works, which is a great sign. There's nothing worse than buying a classic car only to find out that half the features don't function properly. It's clear that this Eldorado has been well maintained over the years. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine, which is paired with an automatic transmission. This Eldorado is a front-wheel drive vehicle, which was a relatively new feature for Cadillacs at the time. The FWD layout provides better traction and handling, especially in inclement weather. The odometer reading on this Eldorado is 89,134 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. While it's not a guarantee of the car's condition, lower mileage is generally a good sign that the car hasn't been driven too hard or too often. One of the standout features of this Eldorado is its convertible top. There's nothing quite like cruising down the road with the wind in your hair and the sun on your face. The seller doesn't mention the condition of the top, so be sure to give it a close inspection to ensure it's in good shape. The seller also notes that this Eldorado has a clean title, which is always a plus when buying a used car. A clean title means that the car hasn't been in any major accidents or sustained significant damage, which can be a red flag for potential buyers. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of this Eldorado is the way it drives. The seller says it drives like a Cadillac should, which is high praise indeed. Cadillacs are known for their smooth, comfortable ride and effortless power, and this Eldorado seems to deliver on that promise. Overall, this 1985 Cadillac Eldorado convertible seems like a fantastic choice for anyone in the market for a classic luxury car. With its excellent condition, low mileage, and clean title, it's clear that this car has been well cared for over the years. The convertible top and powerful 8-cylinder engine are just icing on the cake. Of course, as with any used car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence and have the car inspected by a trusted mechanic before making a final decision. But if everything checks out, this Eldorado could be a dream come true for the right buyer. 6. We've got a classic 1982 Chevrolet Corvette up for grabs on Craigslist. This iconic sports car is priced at $8,500, and it's ready to hit the road with a new owner behind the wheel. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Corvette. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is a solid starting point. However, it's important to keep in mind that good can mean different things to different people, especially when it comes to classic cars. It's always a good idea to see the car in person and give it a thorough inspection to get a better sense of its true condition. One of the standout features of this particular Corvette is that it's the only C3 model with an opening hatch back. This unique design element adds a touch of practicality to the classic Corvette style, making it easier to load and unload cargo. The seller also mentions that this Corvette comes with T-tops, which is a classic feature that allows you to enjoy open-air driving without the full commitment of a convertible. The T-tops are removable panels that fit into the roof of the car, giving you the best of both worlds. This Corvette also comes with special tires, which is a nice bonus. The seller doesn't provide any details about the brand or type of tires, but it's always good to have a fresh set of rubber on a classic car. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine, which is paired with an automatic transmission. This Corvette is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, which is the classic layout for a sports car. The odometer reading is 82,000 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. While it's not a guarantee of the car's condition, Lower mileage is generally a good sign. The exterior of this Corvette is finished in a sleek silver paint color, which is a classic choice for a sports car. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the paint, so be sure to give it a close inspection to check for any chips, scratches, or fading. The seller also notes that this Corvette comes with a clean title, which is always a plus when buying a used car. A clean title means that the car hasn't been in any major accidents or sustained significant damage, which can be a red flag for potential buyers. Overall, this 1982 Chevrolet Corvette seems like a solid choice for anyone in the market for a classic American sports car. With its unique hatchback design, T-tops, and low mileage, it's clear that this car has been well maintained over the years. The inclusion of special tires and extra parts is just icing on the cake. 7. We've got a real gem for you, a 1962 Chevy Impala that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This vintage beauty is priced at $14,000, and it's ready to find a new owner who appreciates classic American craftsmanship. Now let's dive into the details of this Impala. The seller mentions that it's actually a Biscayne model, which was a more basic trim level than the Impala. However, don't let that fool you. This car has been extensively restored and upgraded, making it a real head-turner. Under the hood, you'll find a 283 cubic inch engine that has been completely rebuilt. This means that the engine has been taken apart, inspected, and put back together with new parts as needed. A rebuilt engine is a great sign for a classic car, as it suggests that the car has been well maintained and cared for. The seller also mentions that this Impala has a new transmission, which is another major component that can be expensive to replace. With a new transmission, you can have peace of mind knowing that the car should shift smoothly and reliably. One of the standout features of this Impala is the new Flowmaster exhaust system. Flowmaster is a well-known brand in the automotive world, and their exhaust systems are known for their deep, throaty sound. This Impala is sure to turn heads wherever it goes, thanks in part to its awesome exhaust note. The seller has also put a lot of work into the suspension and front end of this Impala. They mention that the car has all new front-end components, as well as all new suspension parts in the front and rear. This is important for a classic car, as worn-out suspension components can make the car feel sloppy and unpredictable on the road. Inside the car, you'll find a completely new digital dash that is fully functional. This is a nice modern touch on a classic car, and it's sure to impress passengers. The seller also mentions that the car has a new dash, new carpet, and newer seats, which suggests that the interior has been extensively refreshed. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of this Impala is its overall condition. The seller notes that there is no rot on the car, and that the undercarriage is super nice. This is a huge selling point for any classic car, as rust and corrosion can be major issues that are expensive to fix. The seller is upfront about the fact that this Impala is not a show car, but they also say that it's close to it. This suggests that the car is in excellent condition overall, with only minor flaws or imperfections. Overall, this 1962 Chevy Impala seems like an excellent choice for anyone in the market for a classic American car. With its rebuilt engine, new transmission, and extensive upgrades, it's clear that a lot of love and care has gone into this vehicle. The fact that it has a clean title and no rust issues is just icing on the cake. 8. We're taking a closer look at a classic 1963 Ford Ranchero that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at just $4,000, and it's ready for a new owner to take it home and give it some love. Now, let's be real here. The seller admits that the condition of this Ranchero is fair, which means it's not going to be perfect. But hey, that's part of the charm of owning a classic car, right? You get to put your own personal touch on it and make it truly yours. Under the hood, you'll find a 302 V8 engine paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. The body has 72,000 original miles on it, while the engine has clocked in at 110,000 miles. But don't let that scare you off. This baby runs and drives, and it idles like a champ. The seller has put in some serious work to make sure this Ranchero is ready to hit the road. They've replaced the front steering components, shocks, springs, and brakes, as well as the fuel pump, sending unit, and all the brake and fuel lines. Plus, they've even thrown in a triple-core radiator and electric fan to keep things cool. Other notable features include good rear coil shocks and leaf springs, a late 60s to 70s 302 Offie intake with a 600 Holley carb and manual choke, and a Ford T10 4-speed Hurst shifter. And let's not forget about those sweet torque thrust-style 5-spoke mag wheels. The seller is upfront about the fact that this Ranchero isn't perfect. It's a 60-year-old vehicle after all. But they're also confident that it's a fun, fast truck that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. And with a clean title and a rare color, it's definitely a desirable find. If you're interested in making this 1963 Ford Ranchero your own, the seller is asking for cash. But if you happen to have a military Jeep with a title and in running condition, they might be open to a trade. Other trades are possible, but don't get your hopes up too high. So there you have it, folks. A classic 1963 Ford Ranchero with plenty of potential, ready for a new owner to take it to the next level. If you're in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area and looking for a fun project car, this might just be the one for you. 9. We've got a real treat for you. A 1961 Chevrolet Corvair that's up for sale on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at just $4,500, and it's ready for a new owner who appreciates its unique charm. Now let's dive into the details. The seller describes the condition of this Corvair as good, which is pretty impressive considering its age. With a car that's over 60 years old, you might expect some wear and tear, but it seems like this one has been well maintained throughout the years. Under the hood, you'll find a 6-cylinder engine that's paired with a manual transmission. There's something special about driving a classic car with a manual transmission. It really lets you feel connected to the vehicle and the road. The seller mentions that the car runs and drives great, which is always a good sign. They do note that it needs some minor sorting, but that's to be expected with a car of this age. It's all part of the fun of owning a classic. You get to tinker with it and make it your own. One of the great things about this particular Corvair is that it comes with lots of spare parts. That means you'll have a head start on any repairs or upgrades you might want to make in the future. It's always nice to have some extra parts on hand, just in case. The seller also mentions that the car has a clear title, which is important. You don't want to get stuck with a car that has a sketchy history or legal issues. Overall, this 1961 Chevrolet Corvair seems like a solid choice for anyone who's looking for a fun, classic car to add to their collection. It's got a great look, a manual transmission, and a good amount of spare parts to work with. Plus, at just $4,500, it's a pretty affordable way to get into the world of classic car ownership. If you're interested in learning more about this Corvair, the seller encourages you to call or text with any questions. They seem like they're willing to work with potential buyers and provide more information as needed. So, what do you think? Is this 1961 Chevrolet Corvair the classic car of your dreams? If you're in the market for a fun, unique vehicle with plenty of character, it might be worth taking a closer look. 10. We've got a real blast from the past for you. A 1960 Chevrolet Impala that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This vintage beauty is priced at $14,800, and it's ready for a new owner who's willing to put in some work to bring it back to its former glory. Now let's get one thing straight. This Impala isn't perfect. The seller is upfront about the fact that it has some rust issues, particularly in the floorboards and trunk pan. But hey, that's just part of the charm of owning a classic car, right? It's a chance to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, making this Impala truly your own. Despite the rust, the seller describes the overall condition of the car as good. The frame is solid, which is a big plus. This Impala was originally a 6-cylinder car with air conditioning, so it's got some great features that make it stand out from the crowd. One thing to note, the seller is firm about only taking phone calls from interested buyers. They won't respond to emails or messages asking if the car is still available. So if you're serious about making this Impala yours, you'll need to pick up the phone and give them a call. The car is located in Marseilles, Illinois, but the seller is willing to deliver it for an additional fee. That could be a great option if you're not local to the area, but still want to get your hands on this classic ride. Now let's talk about the potential of this 1960 Impala. With some elbow grease and a bit of investment, this car could be a real showstopper. Imagine cruising down the street in a beautifully restored vintage Impala, turning heads everywhere you go. It's the kind of car that has a story to tell, and you could be the one to write its next chapter. Of course, a project car like this isn't for everyone. It takes time, money, and a whole lot of dedication to bring a classic back to life. But for the right person, someone who loves the history and character of vintage cars, it could be an incredibly rewarding experience. So, what do you think? Is this 1960 Chevrolet Impala the project car of your dreams? If you're up for a challenge and ready to put in the work, it could be an incredible opportunity. Just remember, this car is being sold as is, so be prepared to tackle those rust issues head-on. 11. We've got a real treat for you. A 1979 Chevy Corvette that's up for sale on Craigslist. This classic sports car is priced at just $6,000, and it's ready for a new owner who's ready to take on a bit of a project. Now let's dive into the details. The seller describes the overall condition of this Corvette as good, which is a promising start. It's got the iconic L88 350 engine under the hood, which is sure to get your heart racing. And with just 89,000 miles on the odometer, this car has plenty of life left in it. The seller does mention a couple of issues that need to be addressed. The brakes need to be bled, which is a relatively simple fix. There's also a small transmission leak, but again, that's something that can be tackled with a bit of know-how and elbow grease. One thing to note, the seller bought a bracket and spring to make the passenger window roll up more easily, but they never completed the installation. The good news is that the parts are included with the car, so you can finish the job yourself if you're up for it. Despite these minor issues, the seller says that the car runs very well. That's always a good sign when you're looking at a classic sports car like this. Now let's talk about the potential of this 1979 Corvette. With its sleek black paint job and classic lines, this car is sure to turn heads wherever it goes. And with a bit of work, you could have it running like a top in no time. Of course, it's important to keep in mind that this is a project car. It's not going to be perfect right out of the gate, and it will require some investment of time and money to get it where you want it to be. But for the right person, someone who loves the thrill of working on a classic car and seeing it come back to life, it could be an incredibly rewarding experience. The seller is asking $6,000 for this Corvette, but they're also open to best offers. That means there could be some wiggle room on the price if you're willing to negotiate. So, what do you think? Is this 1979 Chevy Corvette the project car you've been dreaming of? If you're ready to take on a bit of a challenge and bring this classic sports car back to its former glory, it could be an incredible opportunity. Just remember, it's a project car, so be prepared to put in some work. 12. We've got a unique find for you. A 1975 Chevy Vega that's up for sale on Craigslist. This classic hatchback is priced at $6,500. But the seller is open to best offers. So if you're looking for a vintage ride with some serious character, this might be the one for you. Now let's be real here. The seller describes the condition of this Vega as fair, which means it's not going to be in pristine condition. But that's okay. Sometimes the imperfections are what make a car truly special. It's all about the story it tells and the potential it holds. Under the hood you'll find an 8-cylinder engine, which is a bit of a surprise for a Vega. These cars were typically known for their 4-cylinder engines, so this one has clearly undergone some modifications. It's paired with a manual transmission, which is always a fun option for those who love to really feel connected to their car. The paint color is listed as orange, which is sure to make this Vega stand out from the crowd. It's a bold choice, but hey, if you're going to drive a classic car, you might as well make a statement, right? Now, the seller does mention that there are descriptions of the car in the photos. Unfortunately, we don't have access to those photos here, so we can't dive into all the specifics. But based on the information we do have, it's clear that this Vega has some unique features and a lot of potential. It's important to keep in mind that this is a 45-year-old car, so it's bound to have some quirks and maybe even a few issues. But that's all part of the charm of owning a classic. It's a chance to put your own personal touch on a piece of automotive history and make it truly your own. The seller is asking $6,500 for this Vega, but they're also open to best offers. That means there could be some room for negotiation if you're serious about making this car yours. So, what do you think? Is this 1975 Chevy Vega the vintage ride you've been searching for? If you're up for a bit of a project and ready to take on the challenge of owning a classic car, it could be an incredible opportunity. Just remember, it's not going to be perfect, but that's all part of the fun. 13. We've got a real blast from the past for you. A 1985 Chevrolet Monte Carlo that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic coupe is priced at just $3,500, and it's ready for a new owner who appreciates its vintage charm. Now let's dive into the details. The seller describes the overall condition of this Monte Carlo as good, which is a promising start. It's got a 305 small block Chevy engine under the hood, paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission. That means you'll have plenty of power and a smooth ride, all in one package. This Monte Carlo also comes with some great features, like power steering, power disc brakes, and cold air conditioning. That's right, you can cruise in comfort even on the hottest of days. The odometer shows just 66,000 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. However, the seller does note that the odometer has rolled over, so the actual mileage may be higher. Still, with proper maintenance and care, this car should have plenty of life left in it. One of the standout features of this Monte Carlo is its interior. It's got a nice blue velour interior that looks to be in great shape. There's just something about that classic velour that screams 80s in the best possible way. The exterior is finished in its original white paint, which is always a classic look for a Monte Carlo. However, the seller does point out one issue. There's some rust on the rear left quarter panel near the wheel well. It's not uncommon for cars of this age to have some rust, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. The seller notes that it will need a paint job to address this issue. On the plus side, this Monte Carlo has newer wheels and tires, which is always a nice touch. And according to the seller, it drives and runs well. That's always a good sign when you're looking at a classic car. The seller is asking $3,500 in cash for this Monte Carlo, and they note that you can drive it home today. That's a pretty fair price for a car with this much character and potential. Of course, as with any classic car, it's important to do your due diligence before making a purchase. Take a close look at the rust issue and consider getting a professional inspection to ensure there aren't any hidden problems. But if everything checks out, this could be a great opportunity to own a piece of automotive history. 14. We've got a real gem for you. A 1976 Ford LTD that's up for sale on Craigslist. This vintage coupe is priced at $5,000, but the seller is open to best offers. So, if you're in the market for a classic ride with some serious style, this might be the one for you. Now, let's talk about what makes this LTD so special. First and foremost, it's got a freshly rebuilt 400mm engine under the hood. That's right, this baby has been given a new lease on life, and it's ready to hit the road. With less than 3,000 miles on the rebuilt engine, you can be confident that it's got plenty of power and reliability. The seller describes the overall condition of this LTD as good, which is always a positive sign. It's not perfect, but that's to be expected with a car that's over 45 years old. The important thing is that it runs and drives great, and it's ready for a new owner to enjoy. In addition to the rebuilt engine, this LTD has also been given some other nice upgrades. It's got new tires and front brakes, which means you can hit the road with confidence. No more worrying about worn-out rubber or spongy brakes. This car is ready to roll. The exterior of this LTD is finished in a classic white paint job, which looks great against the car's sleek lines. There's just something about a white vintage car that screams elegance and style. Now, the seller doesn't go into a ton of detail about the interior of the car, but based on the photos, it looks to be in decent shape. There's always the possibility of some wear and tear, but that's to be expected with a car of this age. The important thing is that it's all there and ready for you to put your own personal touch on it. One thing to keep in mind with any classic car is that it may require some ongoing maintenance and care. These cars are decades old, and they've got their quirks and personality. But for the right person, someone who loves the history and character of vintage rides, it's all part of the fun. The seller is asking $5,000 for this LTD, but they're also open to best offers. That means there could be some wiggle room on the price if you're serious about making this car yours. So, what do you think? Is this 1976 Ford LTD the classic coupe you've been searching for? If you're ready to take on the joys and challenges of owning a vintage car, it could be an incredible opportunity. Just remember, it's not going to be perfect, but that's all part of the charm. 15. We've got a real treat for you. A 1978 Lincoln Mark V that's up for sale on Craigslist. This luxurious land yacht is priced at $12,750, and it's ready for a new owner who appreciates the grandeur and style of a bygone era. Now let's dive into what makes this Mark V so special. First and foremost, it's a Diamond Jubilee Edition, which was released to celebrate Ford's 75th anniversary. This exclusive version added a whopping $8,000 to the already steep base price, making it a true luxury car of its time. The seller describes the overall condition of this Lincoln as good, and based on the details provided, it seems to live up to that description. The body is finished in a stunning Jubilee Gold Moondust, one of two exclusive colors for this edition. It's mostly original and very nice overall, with just some localized aging in the paint and vinyl top. The seller notes that it's a solid car without any major rust problems, which is always a plus for a classic ride. Under the hood, you'll find a 400 cubic inch Cleveland V8 engine, which is a real powerhouse. The seller mentions that it runs quietly and smoothly on the road, as you'd expect from a Lincoln. The transmission is a C6 automatic, and the rear end is a 9 with 2.75 highway gears, perfect for cruising. The interior of this Mark V is just as impressive as the exterior. It's a Diamond Jubilee Edition, so it's got all the special features like cloth bucket seats, a center console, and leather trim throughout. The seller notes that everything is in remarkable condition for a car nearing 50 years of age. It's also loaded with power features, including front seats, door locks, sunroof, and windows with unique vent sections. Now, the seller does mention a couple of minor issues. The smog pump is present but not operational, and the AC portion of the automatic temperature control doesn't work. But these are relatively small issues compared to the overall grandeur and luxury of this car. One thing to keep in mind with a classic car like this is that it's a real throwback. It's nearly 5,000 pounds and longer than a crew cab pickup. But that's all part of the charm. It's a chance to experience the style and luxury of a different era. The seller mentions that they're open to vehicle trades, including classics and performance cars. They can also assist with financing and shipping as needed. So, what do you think? Is this 1978 Lincoln Mark V Diamond Jubilee Edition the classic luxury car you've been dreaming of? If you're ready to experience the grandeur and style of the 1970s, it could be an incredible opportunity. Just imagine cruising down the road in this nearly 20-foot-long land yacht, turning heads everywhere you go. 16. We've got an absolute gem for you, a 1977 Chevrolet Camaro that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic muscle car is priced at $11,000, and based on the seller's description, it seems like it could be a real steal. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Camaro. The seller describes it as excellent, which is a bold claim for a car that's over 40 years old. But based on the details provided, it seems like this Camaro has been well cared for throughout its life. One of the most impressive things about this Camaro is its low mileage. It's got just 52,000 original miles on the odometer, which is incredibly low for a car of this age. That means it's got plenty of life left in it, and it's ready for many more miles of cruising. Under the hood, you'll find a 5.0-liter V8 engine, which is a classic power plant for the Camaro. The seller mentions that it runs and drives well, and everything works as it should. That's always a good sign when you're looking at a classic car. The transmission is an automatic, which makes this Camaro a great choice for those who want a classic muscle car without the hassle of a manual transmission. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll get that classic muscle car feel every time you hit the gas. The exterior of this Camaro is finished in a bright yellow paint job, which really makes it stand out from the crowd. There's just something about a yellow Camaro that screams classic muscle car. The seller doesn't mention any major issues with the paint or body, which is another good sign. Inside, you'll find a custom interior that adds to the unique character of this Camaro. The seller doesn't go into a ton of detail about the interior, but based on the photos, it looks to be in great shape. Now, the seller does mention a couple of things to keep in mind. They're firm on the price, and they're not interested in lowball offers. They also mention that interested buyers should show up and make an offer in person. And if you do decide to buy this Camaro, you can drive it home the same day. It's a turnkey classic that's ready to hit the road. One thing to keep in mind with any classic car is that it may require some ongoing maintenance and care. But for the right person, someone who loves the history and character of classic muscle cars, it's all part of the fun. 17. We've got a real treat for you, a 1985 Lincoln Town Car that's up for sale on Craigslist. This luxurious ride is priced at $7,500, and based on the seller's description, it seems like it could be an absolute steal. First and foremost, let's talk about the condition of this town car. The seller describes it as excellent, both inside and out. That's a bold claim for a car that's nearly 40 years old, but based on the details provided, it seems like this Lincoln has been incredibly well cared for throughout its life. One of the most impressive things about this town car is its low mileage. It's got just 48,971 miles on the odometer, which is incredibly low for a car of this age. That means it's got plenty of life left in it, and it's ready for many more miles of luxurious cruising. Under the hood, you'll find a V8 engine, which is a classic power plant for the town car. The seller mentions that it starts, runs, and drives nicely, which is always a good sign when you're looking at a classic car. The interior of this town car is where it really shines. It's got electric windows and seats, a sunroof, and a leather interior that looks to be in great shape. The seller also mentions that the air conditioning gets cold very quickly and will freeze you out, which is a huge plus for those hot summer days. The exterior of this town car is finished in a sleek gray paint job, which gives it a timeless and elegant look. The seller doesn't mention any major issues with the paint or body, which is another good sign. The tires are also said to be in great condition, which means you can hit the road with confidence. Now here's where this town car really stands out. The seller mentions that you can get in this car and drive it immediately across the country. That's a bold claim, but it speaks to the excellent condition and reliability of this classic ride. One thing to note, the seller is open to trades for cars, trucks, RVs, real estate, or other real property. They also mention that they have cash available for a trade-up, which could be an interesting option for the right buyer. So, what do you think? Is this 1985 Lincoln Town Car the classic luxury ride you've been searching for? With its excellent condition, low mileage, and luxurious features, it could be an incredible opportunity. Just imagine cruising down the road in this timeless beauty, turning heads everywhere you go. 18. We're taking a closer look at a real gem listed on Craigslist, a 1985 Lincoln Town Car. This beauty is up for grabs at just $7,500, and from what the seller tells us, it seems like an absolute steal. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes it as excellent both inside and out, and with just 48,971 miles on the odometer, it's clear this classic has been cherished. The gray paint job is sure to turn heads, and the clean title means you won't have any hassles with paperwork. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful V8 engine that's ready to hit the road. The seller even says you could drive this car cross-country right away, and with features like electric windows, seats, and a sunroof, you'll be cruising in comfort and style. The leather interior is another highlight, promising a luxurious ride. And don't worry about the summer heat. The AC is said to get cold very quickly, keeping you cool no matter where your adventures take you. The tires are also reported to be in great condition, so you can have peace of mind on the road. It's evident that this Lincoln Town Car has been well cared for over the years. The seller invites potential buyers to see the car in person to truly appreciate its value. Located in Jacksonville, this is an opportunity you won't want to miss. As a bonus, the seller is open to trades. Whether you've got cars, trucks, RVs, real estate, or other property, they're willing to consider it. And if you're looking to trade up, they've got cash available to make it happen. If you're interested, the seller encourages you to call or text Vicky for the quickest response. Don't let this chance slip away. This 1985 Lincoln Town car could be the classic ride you've been dreaming of. 19. We've got a real treat for you. A 1965 Rambler Marlin that's sure to make your heart race. This classic beauty is up for grabs on Craigslist, and the asking price is just $14,500. Let's dive in and see what makes this car so special. First things first, the seller describes the condition of this Rambler Marlin as excellent, and from the looks of it, they're not exaggerating. The white paint job is fresh and gleaming, making this vintage ride look like it just rolled off the showroom floor. And with a clean title, you can be confident that there won't be any unexpected surprises down the road. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 327 Rambler motor that's paired with a 3-speed overdrive twin-stick transmission. This combination promises an exhilarating driving experience that's sure to put a smile on your face. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll have plenty of control and traction when you need it most. One of the standout features of this Rambler Marlin is the air suspension, which ensures a smooth and comfortable ride no matter where your adventures take you. The seller also mentions that the interior has been recently updated, so you can expect to be surrounded by fresh, modern amenities while still enjoying the vintage charm of this classic sedan. With 114,000 miles on the odometer, this car has certainly seen its fair share of the open road. But don't let that number fool you. The seller assures us that this Rambler Marlin runs and drives great. They've even fitted it with new tires, so you can hit the road with confidence right away. Overall, this 1965 Rambler Marlin seems like an absolute gem. The excellent condition, powerful engine, and updated features make it a compelling choice for any classic car enthusiast. And at just $14,500, it's a bargain compared to many other vintage rides on the market. If you're in the market for a classic sedan that's sure to turn heads and provide an unforgettable driving experience, this Rambler Marlin is definitely worth checking out. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of automotive history. 20. We've got a real treat for you, a 1963 Ford Mercury that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. This classic beauty is up for grabs on Craigslist, and the asking price is just $7,500. Let's take a closer look and see what makes this Mercury so special. First off, the seller describes the condition of this Mercury as super clean, which is always a great sign. They also mention that it's a great running car, so you can expect a smooth and reliable ride. The custom paint job is sure to make a statement, and with a clean title, you won't have to worry about any legal hassles. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's ready to roar. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll have plenty of control and traction when you need it most. The seller has recently done some maintenance work, including new oil and a new battery, so you can have peace of mind knowing that this Mercury has been well cared for. One of the standout features of this Mercury is the custom air conditioning and heating system. The seller confirms that both work perfectly, so you can stay comfortable no matter what the weather brings. They've also fitted the car with new white wall tires, giving it a classic and stylish look. In the back, you'll find air shocks that promise a smooth and comfortable ride. The seller does mention a couple of minor cosmetic hiccups, but they don't provide any specific details. However, given the overall excellent condition of the car, these small issues shouldn't be a major concern. Overall, this 1963 Ford Mercury seems like a fantastic find. The custom features, great running condition, and recent maintenance work make it a compelling choice for any classic car enthusiast. And at just $7,500, it's a bargain compared to many other vintage rides on the market. The seller is looking for serious buyers only, so if you're interested in making this Mercury yours, be sure to message them for more details. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of automotive history that's sure to turn heads and provide an unforgettable driving experience.